Elisa, and today I'm going to be showing you my Square Me Up ruler. Been waiting a long time for this to come out, and today I'm going to give you a little quick overview on how to get started in using this real quickly. This is designed to be able to use half square triangles to make them quickly and accurately using 10-inch squares and 5-inch squares. And it just so happens that some of our manufacturers, fabric manufacturers, are packaging up different varieties of 10-inch and 5-inch squares. You can also cut your own. You can use 1/3 of a yard to get 4 10-inch squares, and you could also use a fat quarter to get 2 10-inch squares. But let's get started and show you how it works. For each one that we're going to be doing, you're going to use 2 10-inch squares. And what I have here is my light color, and what I'm going to do is fold it in half to find the center, and this is going to make it a little bit easier for lining up the Square Me Up ruler. You can also, once you folded it in half to find the center, you can make a little line, and that just helps you be able to see where the center is on some of your lighter fabric. There happens to be a diagonal line going across the ruler, and I'm going to center this using that diagonal line so that my ruler is in the center of my 10-inch square. Then I want to do is I'm using a pen today. You can use a soft pencil if you like. And I'm going to mark along the outside edge of the ruler. I want to make sure that I'm putting the edge of whatever I'm using, either the pen or the pencil, and making it go against the ruler, not holding it out here, so that I get the accurate line around it. There we go. Line. Then I want to face these 2 squares right sides together. And what I will do then is place a couple pins just to keep these from sliding as I sew around. And what I'm going to be doing then is going over to the sewing machine, and I will be sewing 1/4 of an inch around each side of these lines. Okay, then what I do is I am using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I'm going to sew 1/4 of an inch away from the drawn line. When I get to the corner, you can put your needle down and pivot around the corner. And sometimes what I like to do is actually go over sew in each direction, so I create a little X in each corner. It's very easy to work just with 2 pieces of fabric. It's not too large. Go around the next corner, again with your needle down, and then make your little X by over sewing in each direction. Now I have my inside sewn, and so I'm going to sew 1/4 of an inch along each outside. And what I do sometimes is if I'm sewing a number of blocks, I will sew all of the inside edges, and then I will sew the outside of the lines by chain piecing. So I would just sew one side and then put the next side and chain piece it through. Or you can just pivot around the corners as I'm doing here. And that's how quick it is to sew the 10-inch squares. Then what I would do is I would take this over and I would press it, and I already have one that's pressed. I like to press the seams just to lock them in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the ruler and I'm going to place it back on to the lines that I drew. And then I'm going to take my rotary cutter and I'm going to cut around on the line. If you have a smaller rotating mat like this one, it's a little bit easier to cut all the way around. I can remove those. Then I'm going to take a smaller ruler and I'm going to go from edge to edge. And if you did the little back stitching as I did on the inside corners, it makes it a little bit easier to line up your ruler to get from corner to corner. So I'm not sure exactly how long that took, but for each 2 10-inch squares, I'm going to get 8 half-square triangles. They're going to finish at 4 inches. Let me show you some that I have already pressed. And then what I have done with these also is I have trimmed the little ears that come from these. So 8 half-square triangles that you can use in your quilt design. A little example of a little pinwheel block right there. This is not on the biased edge. This is on the straight of the grain. Very quick and easy. If you are using some of the different fabric packs they don't end up always being exactly 10 inches, and sometimes they can be a little bit harder to get them matched up exactly. So that is where the ruler comes in handy for squaring them up. It has this non-stick surface. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of almost a glazy kind of look that keeps the fabric from, when you push down on it, it keeps it from slipping. But I would line this up again, my center sewing line with the diagonal, and if you, depending on how accurate you are with your cutting and your pinning, if you need to square these all up to a different size, you would be able to measure each of them. And for example, this one might have came out a little bit smaller. I've used these squares instead of cutting my own 10-inch squares, and found that they are just a little bit shy of being 4.5, which is okay because I can square them up to a smaller size. There are also numerous sizes on here to where I can square these up if I need 3.5-inch squares, 3-inch squares, a lot of variety. Also, you can make quarter square triangles by taking 2 of your half square triangles, drawing a line across here, and sewing to where you get your quarter square triangle. And then again, you could use the ruler to square it up. But I also said that this is used for 5-inch squares. Let me show you that. And if you notice on the ruler, is like an outline that's cut out of here. And then there's also a line that goes around, and this happens to be 5-inch square. So on the wrong side of your 5-inch square, I place the ruler so that this line goes around the 5-inch square. Then I'm going to take my pen, and the slot is kind of big. You don't want to put your pen down. It has a notation here for you to draw along the outside edge. I'm going to make my marks on the outside. Then I would place this right sides together with another 5-inch square, place a few pens, and then I'm going to cut it. And this is what I get. Then I would be able to cut this apart again on the line. And see that? I got my 4 corner squares already there, and then I'm going to again cut on my diagonal and be able to get all 8 of my little 2-inch squares. And I have a whole bunch of those that I've already sewn before. Let me show you one cute little project using the 2-inch squares. This is a little tree that was done by Peggy Welchert using little charm packs and the 2-inch squares. These finish at 1.5 inches. And also the quilt behind me is a new pattern that I'm working on, and this one was done using the 10-inch squares to make 4-inch finished size half square triangles, and that'll be a new pattern that's coming out soon. So that was my little quick start method of using the new Square Me Up ruler, and I will do another video soon to show you, give you some more advanced options to be able to use with this. Thanks for joining me.